Hey, what's up? This is Presto, and I just watched a Pixlways tutorial. They were showing how to model some nuts and bolts, well, just the nut inside of Blender. And I thought this might be a cool practice to try out inside of Cinema 4D. Show how maybe we would tackle this here. Now, I'm going to do mine in real time, and it might go a little bit fast, but I'll explain it as we go. We're going to start off with an inside line, and we'll hit XZ to put that on the ground plane. Control drag up to make a copy, control drag up to make yet another copy, and scale this one in with T. We're going to take that smaller one, and we're going to multiply the sides by 2, and then go back to scale and hold Control while scaling to make one last copy. Control A to select them all, and we're going to put them in a loft. And as we select loft, we'll hold both Control and Alt to take the whole group and put them into that loft. Let's take a look at what we're working with. I hit ND so we can see our polylines. And I'm going to reduce our subdivisions of our loft to 12 and 2, and then collapse it. Now, this is the base form that we're going to start with. Going to go to polygon mode, get rid of this top n-gon and this bottom n-gon, and then reverse our normals, because when I select them here, they're purple, they should be yellow. U and R will reverse our normals, and everything is looking good now. Go back to edge mode, and I'm going to bring up my live selection. Well, I'm using the simple edge loop in this. And we're going to select these center rings, and we'll be doing this quite a few times. I'm going to delete those with Control Delete, which will dissolve them. So it's not actually a delete. We're dissolving them out and getting the better form here. I'm going to scale this in a little bit because it looks a bit big to me at the moment. Perfect. This is our general form that we're after. And let's take advantage of some of Cinema 4D's ability to save on store selections. We're going to hit U and N, which brings up our Fong break selection, and we will select all. Now, these are effectively the polygons that we're going to need to bevel later on. I'm going to hit U and L and hold Shift to add that center one to the selection, and then we're going to store them. So Shift-C brings up our commander. If we search out store, we will find store selection. 2 of them, actually. We want to use the one that has the arrow here. So double-click on that, and that has added a stored selection to our tag. Now, we could double-click on this and bring it back, and we've got other options that we will be using later on. So what I want to do here is inverse this, and now we have the opposite of our selection. And I want to get rid of that bottom part and then store this as well. So Shift-C, once again, double-click on store selection. We've now got 2 of them over here. I'm going to deselect, and then I'm going to subdivide by hitting U and S. And we've now got more polygons, but I want to keep getting rid of these center ones to keep my polygon count as low as possible. Control Delete to dissolve them. And our next task is going to be trying to get this edge and all the edges like it to go as close as we can get them, well, close enough to these corner pieces here. And we'll do that by making a ring selection, UB, on this bottom row here. And I want to get rid of the corner from that selection. If we think about it, that is actually stored in our first stored selection. So if we deselect that from what we have, we're going to get the result that we're after. Kind of like a Boolean operation. Next thing I want to do is take these little edges and make them polygons. But I can't quite do that just yet. If I control click on that, it doesn't work. Go back to my edges, and I'm going to control click to turn them into points first. And then if I do another control click here, I will get polygons out of it, which is what I want. Now, if I scale those up, they're not going to go where I want them to. So we're going to use a different scale. We will use the polygon normal scale. M and minus will bring that up, and it will scale it along the normals. I want to get these nice and close to the corner edges, not too close, but somewhere around there. Don't worry about the height. We can fix that pretty easily. We're going to go back to edges mode. You can double click on this top edge, and we will use the coordinates manager, set to world mode. Now, normally the coordinates manager is where I am. I've just moved mine up for screen purposes here. We'll zero this out on Y, hit enter, and now everything is back to normal. All right, our next subdivision comes in, U and S. And we will once again get rid of all of our center lines. Oops, I got one extra in here. Control delete. Looks fine. Great, but it is getting pretty dense over here. We're getting close to the polygon count that we want, but these edges here are ones that I can do without. We can get rid of them and still maintain our shape. So rather than trying to select them in this giant mess, what I'm going to do is take advantage of our second stored selection. Double click on that. I'm going to do kind of an odd trick here. I'm going to go U and Y to grow that selection. I'm going to inverse it with U and I to inverse. And then I'm going to shrink the inverse with U and K. And what this has done for me is it has targeted each of those edges that I want to get rid of. So I can hold Shift and select them all as we go through with a lot more ease finding them now. And once I got them all, I will be hitting Control and Delete once again. Perfect. All right, we're making progress. Next thing I want to do is go to my points mode. You can see that we still have a stored selection of points in the center. Now I'm going to take advantage of this because I need to scale up those center points, but I want to include the ones that are beside it. So I'm going to grow the selection with U and Y, and I'm going to get rid of these ones here. So I'll just control click on that, and now I can bring up my scale tool, scale them up a bit, and we're in business. So next step, we're going to fix our less than circular circle in the center here. Going to bring up the commander, search out fit for our fit circle tool. Double click on the edges here. I got to be in edge mode to do that though. Double click on this edge and this, not that one, this center edge. Get rid of you and just drag. And we're now going to get perfect circles. I'm going to take this one in the center, if I can get it, and drag that in just a little bit. And change to move mode and control drag it down. Now I'm going to keep that selected. And I'm going to double click this edge to add to that selection. And now I'm going to get them to be scaled down to 0 on their Y-axis and then placed right on the ground plane on the world axis to give us a perfectly symmetrical Y-axis. I'm going to take this top loop here, and I'm going to grab that second inner one here. I got to zoom in a touch to get it. Just drag that up a little bit because it's looking maybe a little bit too short. Cool. Now all we have left to do is to bevel it. And thankfully, we still have our selection for our bevel edges. Double click on that, hit MS to bring up our bevel tool, drag out a one subdivision bevel, and we can then switch to polygon mode, Control A to select them all. We'll just mirror this, Shift C to bring up our commander and search for mirror. As long as this is on the XZ plane, we should be able to mirror out a copy of that. Select them all. I'm just going to hit UO for safety. That is our optimize command. So any polygon issues that we might have should be no longer there. We're going to go to edge mode. This is optional, but I want to keep my polygon count low. I will control delete that one out. And now we have our form. All that's left to do is to subdivide this, toss it into a subdivision surface, and hit NA to see what our ground shading looks like. Looking very nice. We can hit ND again to go back, and we can see what our subdivided and our low polygon count looks like. NA to bring it back to ground shading. And that wraps it up. So I hope you learned something new about modeling inside of Cinema 4D, maybe picked up a tip or two, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.